Hey guys, this is Al. I'm over here with my 1988 Porsche 928 Series 4. I bought this car from a friend of mine. Let me get behind the camera so that you can get a better look at it. Yeah, so there's a real interesting story behind this car. I picked it up in 2012 from a gentleman who's now passed away. His name's Bill. Super good guy as far as I'm concerned. Very smart guy. And when I met him, I was in the process of restoring my 1971 280 SL. It's a Pagoda. It's a California coupe. I bought that car from an elderly gentleman. He was about 91 years old, and he bought it back in the 80s from Europe, so it's a European spec car. He rear-ended somebody and then decided to park it outside his barn instead of inside his barn, and it got into a pretty bad state. So I got to know Bill because he used to run a body shop at one time, and he used to work on high-end classic cars, and he had a bunch of parts in his attic, and I was looking for a hood for that car, and he contacted me and he said he had one, and we got to know each other and we just hit it off. We became good friends. At the time I had my Pagoda at a restoration shop here in Dallas, and when I got the hood, me and Bill went over there, delivered it there, and Bill looked at the car and there was some work done on it, and he basically didn't like the work. His spider sensor, shall we say, went off, and long story short, we ended up basically pulling the car, and when we took it back to his house because I let him assess it, and when he put a grinder to the bodywork, he just blew right through a bunch of Bondo, and there was just rust underneath it. There wasn't any kind of rust repair done. So maybe I can post some pictures of what we found, but we got to be good friends. He helped me with that car, with the Pagoda, and he also helped me actually rewire this entire building, because when I bought this building, somebody had stolen all the copper out of it, so there was no electricity in it, no wiring, and he actually helped me wire this building up. But yeah, unfortunately he passed away, but one of the car deals that we did together is I bought this car from him. And it's a 1988 Porsche 928 S4. He'd owned it for a long time. Bill used to always buy salvage cars and fix them up because he could himself, and this one was a salvage car. It had an underhood fire when he bought it. He bought it when it was pretty new, and he got it running and fixed it up. When I got it, it wasn't running, because it had sat parked for a long time. So I had to change the fuel pump. I ended up replacing the torque tube because the torque tube was making a noise. I think the bearing there was making a noise. So I replaced the torque tube, I replaced the carrier bearings, and serviced the transmission because it was just shifting horribly. It was barely moving. But when I did replace the transmission fluid, I remember driving to my shop in Dallas. When I was in Dallas, it was a 20-mile drive. I was doing maybe 15 miles an hour all the way up there and 80 miles an hour all the way back. So it cured that problem. Let me just pop the hood. You can see where the car caught fire, right around here. So, which I don't know if you know about these 928s, but they have a fuel line that goes around the back of the engine, and that can rupture, and it could cause fuel to leak down onto the exhaust manifolds and catch fire. So I guess that's what happened to the car. When I got the car, I actually ended up pulling the intake manifold off and redoing the entire wiring, putting new injector clips on it, putting new injector seals, pintle caps, cleaning the intake. So I did a bunch of that stuff. What else did I do? Oh, I replaced the plug wires, which were ridiculously expensive, but they were new. Mileage wise, they're still pretty new, but they've been on there for about 10 years. Then I set the car out to get the timing belt done. So it's got a new belt, new tensioner, new gears as well, and the gears are also ridiculously expensive. I can't even imagine what they cost now because they were ridiculously expensive when I bought them. Then I also had the car painted, and unfortunately, from where it sat in that spot there, I've gotten a whole bunch of hard water stains, and I'm not sure exactly if I can get them off. I've been on it with a buffer, and the buffer's helped a little bit, but I don't know whether I can get them all out. The worst of it is right here on the sunroof. The actual rest of the roof is fine, but the sunroof is pretty bad. There's a little bit here. So I may end up repainting the sunroof and then repainting the hood because it's just very obvious there. And because these are detachable pieces, I can, paint them without too much concern about like blending it in or anything else like that. The paint's actually pretty new on it, so I should be able to get a decent match. Let's take a look at the interior. So this isn't a full leather car, thank God, but the interior is not in the best of shape. This happened over here while the car was basically sitting. So the seats were actually in better shape, at least on the driver's side. The passenger side was a bit sun-baked. The dashboard's full of cracks, and really the best thing to do is put a cover on it. The car's got 78,000 miles on the clock, but that's not original. I remember that the odometer gear was broken, and when I had the timing belt done, which was done by a specialist here in Dallas, he also fixed the odometer gear. I have a bunch of spare keys for these cars, and some of these keys aren't even for this car. I think these might be for a Porsche 911 or something like that, because they don't fit this car. But like I said, Bill was a big Porsche guy, and when I met him, he had this 928 and he had a Ferrari 328 parked next to each other. He's kind of an interesting guy. Let's see where the key is. It's inside the car. It is an automatic, but I would have loved for it to be a manual. I drove a 928. It was an 85, so I guess it was a 32 valve US car, what we call the S3 over here unofficially. I know it's called differently in the rest of the world, but it was slightly lower horsepower. I think these had like 316 horsepower, and the 85 and 86 with the older body style had like 288. But it was a 5-speed car. It wasn't in good shape. It wasn't in terrible shape. This was like the height of the recession back in like 2011, 2010, and it was cheap. And I remember getting in it, and even though it had maybe 30 less horsepower, it felt like a much stronger engine than this one with the 4-speed. So that's one thing I do regret. I kind of wish this car was a 5-speed car. I'm considering selling it, and I kind of hate selling it because it did belong to a friend of mine. It's probably about the only thing I have left that belonged to him. But I don't drive it. This car does have rear AC, which is really nice. When I bought it, the AC was working, and it would actually freeze you out of the car. I had it on R12 at the time, but I think after the timing belt was changed, maybe something was disturbed because it didn't hold the charge afterwards. So I need to fix that. What else? Power steering rack needs doing. I know it leaks because I had to fill it up a few times. Never leaks on the garage floor, but it just leaks over time. It's got the original radio. The radio does work. I fixed that, and also the window switch was broken, and I fixed that as well. And what else does it need? What else? Oh, and the interior lights don't light up. That's one thing I do remember about it. I actually had fun, tinkering with this car when I first bought it, because there's a specialist over here in Texas who's really well known. He's also an English guy, but he really knows these cars really well. You just had to get on the phone with him, and he was the type of guy that if you call him on a Sunday, he'd answer the phone. And he worked out of his house, and he basically said, "Yeah, just come over and I'll, sell you the part, right? No problems." So it was kind of fun because, when I worked on these cars, I had good support, and this is really key when you're ever getting into classic cars. If you have good support, you're not an expert. You'll never be an expert when you buy a car. If you have good support, a good support network, it makes your life 10 times easier. You can, a lot of the heavy lifting goes away. I get that with the Porsche 928. I get that with the Mercedes. I get that with the BMW. Not so much with the Jag. Definitely not with the Rolls-Royce and Bentleys. Right? There's very little knowledge that's shared amongst, Rolls-Royce and Bentley enthusiasts. It's not. I mean, there is some, and they're a good crowd, but it's just not the same level of experience. Let's see if we can get it started. So it runs, but doesn't run great, and I can't really expect it to, because it has sat for almost 10 years. Right? It was kind of a shame, because as soon as I did the timing belt, I parked the car, and I parked it over in that corner over there between the BMW and the 280 CE, and it sat there for 10 years. And so now I've got to go back and see if I can bring it back to life. It probably still has a bit of old gas in it, and obviously that's a problem. So it's running a little bit rough. I'll add a bit more gas to it and see if it runs any better. But I'm trying to decide whether I should sell this car or keep it. I did have a sports car that kind of fit the bill. It was a 2007, and it had a 6-speed manual as well. It has a rear transaxle, but I ended up selling that. And when I had that car, I was like, well, I don't really need the 928 because I got that car. This car is very similar to like an R129 Mercedes, and like a Jaguar XJS, which I also own. They're not the same cars, but they kind of solve the same needs, right? They're 2+2s. Well, the R129 is a straight 2-seater, but they're quick. They're around 300 horsepower, torquey engines, automatic gearbox. One thing that's really nice about this car is that it's the brakes are amazing, and it just feels like a very stiff car. Unlike, the 129 or the XJS that flexes a little bit more, but they're more GT cars than this is. This is also a GT car. It's definitely not a sports car, but it's definitely stiffer than the other cars. I did speak to Bring a Trailer about this. this car, and they said that they would take it even though it has a rebuilt title. They'll take it as a project car, or they would consider it rather. They haven't said that they'll take it, so I just need to decide. Trying to remember what else I did to this car. Oh, I replaced the exhaust with a stock exhaust. When I bought the car, it had like this giant 3-inch exhaust pipe, and I went back with the factory exhaust pipe. There was a company called Oklahoma Foreign. I'm sure that they're still around. They're a sports specialist in Oklahoma City, I think. It's actually where this car came from, I think, and they had an exhaust pipe for it at their lot, so I ended up buying it and we put it on. Yeah, that's it. It definitely needs tires. I've got a set of non-chrome wheels somewhere in the shop, which I'd like to put on it. I think right now it has 205 50s. It really needs wider tires, maybe 225 50s. I know that the front and rear are supposed to be staggered, but I can't be bothered with that. so I'll get something for it. Maybe before I sell it, I don't know. Depends on who I sell it to. You know, the tires are just, I mean, they're in good shape, but I mean, they're a little bit flat right now, but they're in good shape rubber wise, but I think they're, you know, I got these tires when I bought the car in 2012, so they're at least, you know, that old. Let's see how old they are. Let's see if we can find them. 205 50 16s, Bridgestones. 2002. They're from 2002, so they're 23 old tires. Yeah, I'll do probably still good for 100 miles an hour. And that's it. So yeah, I'll try to bring it out at some point. Maybe take it for a drive, do a driving video. You know, I've got to do all of that stuff if I decide to sell it. I also have a replacement tail lamp. I found an S4 in the junkyard, and I quickly snapped that up before it went away, because they're worth a lot of money. But yeah, that's where I am. Alright guys, well, thank you very much, and this is a quick video on the 928. Let me know if you think I should sell it or should I keep it. I mean, it's if I decide to keep it, it's going to cost some money. You have to put some money into it to make it nice, but so at least it's going to at least need new tires. It's going to need full service. It may need a new timing belt. Who knows? Like, the timing belt's been on there for 8 years or so. You know, 9 years. So yeah, you tell me. What do you think? All right, guys. Thanks very much.